Hello, I'm Quartermuncher. Welcome to the Quartermuncher experience, where I play the games I've been putting off for far too long. Today we're taking a look at Kurohyou, Yugagotoku Shinsa, better translated as Black Panther, like a dragon neutral. I'm used to calling Yakuza Kurohyou because that's how I know it. It's an action-adventure game that diverges from traditional Yakuza games by focusing on one-on-one combat. It emphasizes a gritty, personal story of redemption set in the familiar streets of Kurohyou. Kurohyou was released for the PSP in Japan on September 22nd, 2010. The game has not been officially localized, but there has been a fan translation available for it. That's actually why I'm playing it. I'm a Yakuza fan who's played everything from Zero to Infinite Wealth and all the other spin-offs in existence, except for the 3 games that do not have a translation. Well, 2 of those 3 have them, and I'm starting with the first one. This is not a review, this is a journey. Welcome to the Quartermuncher experience. Set in Kamurocho, Yakuza Kurohyou follows Tatsuya Ukyo, an 18-year-old street punk who accidentally kills a Tojo clan member during a robbery. To avoid prison, he's forced to fight in an underground arena known as Dragon Heat to earn his freedom. Doing so, he navigates the complex world of Kamurocho's underground while confronting his past actions, yada yada, etc., basically seeking redemption. Unlike a number of RPGs, Yakuza Kurohyou does not have the traditional towns and dungeon systems. There's no traditional dungeons, there's just fighting arenas and locations where Tatsuya will engage in combat. And these will test the player's mastery of different fighting styles, much like a boss fight would. As far as towns go, you have one, the city of Kamurocho. Okay, it's not the city per se, but it's where the PlayStation 2 games take place, and it is a character in and all of itself. Due to the PSP's technical nature of not being a PlayStation 2, they've had to make do with pre-rendered backgrounds and fixed camera angles, reminiscent of the earlier Yakuza titles, but they managed to capture the entry of the PS2 games, and that's the key part. Yakuza Kurohyou's core gameplay revolves around street fights, with Tatsuya learning and mastering up to 20 different fighting styles to deepen the experience, and getting into, well, again, street fights every 30 seconds. Players can also engage in side activities like part-time jobs, mini-games, and Yakuza side stories because this is, once again, a Yakuza game. The combat, meanwhile, is very stamina-based, requiring players to manage Tatsuya's energy while targeting specific body parts, via punches, kicks, grabs, etc. You can grab nearby fighting tools as in a bottle and hit other guys with it, like other Yakuza games. Yada yada yada. However, this would not be a Yakuza game without the side quests. It's tradition for me to open up the map at the beginning of every chapter, take a look at the side quests, do them, and then take care of the main story, and that's the same philosophy I did here with Kurohyou. This includes a side boss to gain a new fighting style, as well as another side boss to fight somebody with that fighting style, as well as fighting other street gangs such as Diablo and Dis. There's mostly just a lot of fighting in this game, surprise surprise. Yakuza Kurohyou is a game of 2 key elements. For starters, the main graphics and style create a visually appealing experience on the PlayStation Portable. Uses pre-rendered backgrounds with odd camera angles with 3D character models to keep the experience of its console brethren. It adapts for the PSP and manages to run smoothly with responsive controls, minimal loading times, and it utilizes the handheld's capabilities to deliver an authentic Yakuza experience. With that said, the cutscenes are not presented as 3D movies, but these animated motion comics with full voice acting, as in a full Japanese voice cast, providing a unique storytelling approach that suits the portable format. I believe this format was also used in Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater, if you're familiar with that. During my playthrough of Yakuza Kurohyou, I played it the same way I played every other Yakuza game. I started it, I went through all the cutscenes for the chapters. Once the actual gameplay began, I went through the side quests, did everything I could, then progressed with the main story, and then the next chapter would begin, and the process would repeat anew. Nothing out of the ordinary there. Something I liked about Yakuza Kurohyou was Fight Club. Having played all the other Yakuza games, it's interesting to have a game that's focused around fighting culture. Kamurocho feels slightly different when you're not roaming the streets as a Yakuza brick house, better known as Kazuma Kiryu, and more trying to be the guy who's assaulting Kazuma Kiryu. With that said, another thing I liked about Yakuza Kurohyou is the combat. The makers of this game previously did Def Jam Fight for New York for the PSP, and that seems to show. Due to so many Yakuza games being based off of the PS2 or PS4's Dragon engine, it's nice to have a change for the combat. It's heavier and feels more realistic, partially due to the protagonist being a street fighter. Another thing I suppose I enjoyed was punching the souls out of people. I'm not sure if I actually am, but just watch. You can see the soul escaping his body as I'm beating him down. Also of note, I like the combat styles. The game has 10 combat styles to level up, and they're all different, influencing how you grab, punch, kick, etc., and do all that stuff differently. You can level them up if you choose to do so. I tried to do so equally, so I never had a preference between one or the other. Something else I liked in the game was the soundtrack. I had to give credit to any game that has Hideki Naganuma for a jam, and one of the fighting themes in this game is called Your Knife Feels Good. It's lyrically strange, as are a lot of Japanese songs in English, but it sounds good, and that's what I'm here for. Another thing I like was how they managed to tell the story through these comic book-esque cinema scenes. They're stylish, managed to convey things well, especially due to the PSP's not exactly capability, it's not exactly as capable as the PS2 is what I'm trying to say. And lastly, I like the unintended comedy gold that happens every time you get accosted by thugs. You enter a fight, and the people you're throwing down with are not the people who accosted you. I don't want to say every single time, but the times it's not are just part of the main story. Honestly, as a Yakuza fan, there is not a lot to dislike here, but one of the major things I disliked was counters. Anytime you need to mash the X button to get out of grapples or counter or anything of that sort just never seemed to work for me. Maybe it's the fact that I'm running on an emulator, maybe it's a skill issue, maybe it's Maybelline, but I was never a fan of how this game never seemed to make it work. With that said, the best part of Yakuza Kurohyou is that they've managed to make this an authentic spin-off. As much as the current heads of Yakuza guys want to disregard this title, this year marks the release of Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, during which the series' second fiddle, Goro Majima, headlines a pirate-themed game that spins off of Like a Dragon 8, Infinite Wealth. Ergo, Yakuza Kurohyou is very much in spin-off territory just as much as Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii is. But they've managed to condense that exact feeling, which makes it a full-on Yakuza title as much as I'm concerned. We're talking about a franchise that is half spin-off, half mainline at this point. Spoiler warning of sorts, but the worst part of Yakuza Kurohyou is how they messed up a perfectly good plot. This game is all about 10 rounds of Fight Club, all alongside a conspiracy, because this is a Yakuza game. As a result, the game has to end with a climactic duel atop Millennium Tower, right? Well, yes, it does, but most of the explanation of the game's story is directly before the final boss, who is somebody you haven't really seen much of or heard of until this point, and I don't feel super compelled to fight him out of existence, which is a shame because the entire point of this game is focused on combat. The upside is the cutscenes are gorgeous, but really you should have just had the final boss be the last round of the Fight Club, so to speak. By the numbers, Yakuza Kurohyou is 10 chapters long, which involves 10 opponents in 10 rounds of Dragon Heat. I caught 31 cats out of 101, and the game overall took me about 18 hours to beat. Alright, well that's all for the Quartermuncher experience. See y'all on the next journey.